Alright guys, we're back with another test for you. This time round it's a Kawasaki Mule PRO-MX SE. This is the top of the line Kawasaki agricultural side-by-side machine, and we're pretty pumped to get a hold of one. We're going to do a whole bunch of cattle work, we've got to do some spraying, other bits and pieces, live with it for a while and see what we think of it. But before we get into all the testing, let's just quickly run through some of the specs and details about the Kawasaki Mule PRO-MX SE.
The Mule PRO-MX SE is Kawasaki's top-of-the-line mid-capacity machine. It sits above the Mule SX range and below the Mule FX range. The Mule PRO-MX SE runs a fuel-injected 695cc 4-stroke single-cylinder engine, which pumps out 35 kilowatts of power and 58 Newton-meters of torque. It runs a continuously variable transmission, or otherwise known as a CVT, and has electronically selectable two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive with a dual mode rear differential and of course the diff lock. It has double wishbone suspension front and rear with 280mm of travel on the front and 232mm of travel on the rear. It has 25-inch tyres, 270mm of ground clearance. It weighs 736 kilos, carries 36 litres of fuel, has a turning radius of 4.2 metres, is capable of carrying 317 kilos in the tub and 680 kilos on the tow ball. It has speed-sensitive electronic power steering, a two-person bench seat, halogen and LED headlights, four-wheel disc brakes, an independent parking brake, a plastic roof, half windscreen and cast aluminium wheels. It also comes standard with a factory-installed 1300 kilo winch with remote control and premium special edition colour and graphics. All this can be yours in Australia for $19,874. But enough of the boring stuff, let's get to testing. As soon as we jumped in the Kawasaki, it felt significantly different to the more expensive but also more high-end side-by-side we use on our farm on a daily basis. Despite only being a two-seat machine, Kawasaki have opted for a flat bench seat, so while it was a little less comfortable than a contoured seat, the flat bench seat meant we could slide around on it easily and we could squeeze an extra person in the middle if we needed to. The doors are standard on this model and are a little lower than we're used to. This was great for getting in and out of, resting your arm on and reaching things outside the vehicle while stopping mud and water from getting in the cab. So the shape and height get a big thumbs up from us. The other big benefit to the lower doors meant we could hang out the side with more ease when spraying by hand. Unfortunately though, they open like a conventional car door, which means you have to go around the door to open gates. And the thickness of the door felt a little thin, but the benefit of that meant a much lighter door. Gripping the steering wheel felt comfortable. I liked how the instrumentation faced the driver, and the gear shifter, park brake and four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive functions were easy to reach. One of our favourite things about this machine was the gear shifter. It has low and high up the top and reverse at the bottom. This is handy because when you're chasing cattle and need to turn and move from forward to reverse, you can just pull the gear shifter all the way down because reverse is the last gear and not park. It has an adjustable steering wheel but not telescopic, so short asses might need to sit forward. The 694cc engine is a ripper. In fact, it is one of the best mid-capacity engines we have driven. Despite being a single cylinder, you could put most people behind the wheel and they'd think it's a bigger beast. It produced plenty of torque and has plenty up top too. When following cattle, it plodded along smoothly at walking pace. In low gear, it did less than 3 km an hour by itself. In high range, we could get it above 75 km an hour. We did notice when going downhill in low range, fully loaded in the tray, it wanted to coast at 5 to 6 km an hour with no brakes, which is okay providing you can control the braking. We tested the four-wheel drive system and it also worked great. The rear diff lock helped us get out of a few deep bogs, and the four-wheel drive helped pull a loaded trailer up a slippery embankment. While on the topic of towing, we loaded nearly 1 tonne into a trailer and the Pro-MX SE handled it with ease. It is only rated to tow 680 kilos, but if you really need to, we reckon you can go over that. The electronic power steering was exceptional. It was by far the lightest power steering we've ever encountered, but you didn't lose accuracy. This was ideal when you're trying to do 2 things at once, like spraying. The ride was comfortable, but it doesn't quite have that soft, plush ride the more expensive vehicles have. But we're talking vehicles that are over $12,000 more. The suspension handled most things we threw at it, but you could feel more of the big bumps if you smashed into them. The sound from within the cab was a little noisy, but that's to be expected from a single-cylinder motor because it's working so much harder. Ground clearance was good, although we would recommend flipping the tow ball tongue over so it doesn't get caught on anything. We liked the extra railing on the top of the tub because it allowed us to tie stuff down to. The sides were a little low, which is probably one of the reasons why it is only rated to carry 317 kilos. But if you're using the tray to haul fencing equipment and other farming bits, this is fine. If you plan on loading up with wood or bags of concrete to set a corner post, just be mindful of the payload. We would have liked a linked lever for lifting the tub so we could stand on one side and dump what we had in the tub on the ground without having to walk around the other side and undo the other lever. With the Pro-MX SE, you do have to undo both levers on both sides in order to lift the tub. We did like the double levers on the tailgate to secure it. These levers felt much more secure and much sturdier than anything else we've tested with the centre lever in the middle of the tailgate. Because the SE is the premium mid-capacity machine, it came with flash cast aluminium wheels which looked great, a roof which provided excellent protection, and a winch. While the wheels are mainly just there for aesthetics, the bonus of a winch and a roof on the SE is excellent. These are 2 items we would always recommend you bolt on anyway. Overall, for under $20,000, the Kawasaki Mule PRO-MX SE is great. The motor is its strong point, capable of going fast, slow and towing decent loads. The power steering is incredibly light and accurate. It's got adequate space for drink bottles, but we'd like an open glove box down to your knees just for throwing stuff in. While the engine noise is a little loud, with some buzzing and vibrating coming from the tray and doors as well, the ride and ground clearance felt solid and sturdy. And don't forget, it's Kawasaki tough and comes with that Kawasaki reliability, which is incredibly reassuring.
That's a wrap now on our Kawasaki Mule PRO-MX SE test. We hope it's going to be helpful for those out there looking to get into an agricultural side-by-side machine. It is probably one of the most affordable, value for money vehicles that we've driven. At just under $20,000, it's a pretty competent machine. So we look forward to jumping into more Kawasaki agricultural gear as it arrives in Australia and getting back to you with more tests.